The story of the adverse effect of war on children is the focus of Ide Chukwuma Innocent's new movie titled The Pillars of Africa. The filmmaker, popularly known as Onesoul, has been promoting this new movie as one that mirrors the untold story of African child soldiers and sex slaves as collateral damages. Onesoul, who is currently on set of the movie, now joins us on Entertainment News. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Now, tell us more about the Pillars of Africa.
Basically, Pillars of Africa deals with the children of Africa themselves, who are supposed to be the future of Africa. It's a project that I started 10 years ago, and we've been trying to film it for over 7 years now, and finally we've been able to overcome, against all odds, we got on set and start filming. When you talk about the pillars themselves, you're referring to the children, and I would say if the pillar of a building, for instance, has a problem, it's at stake, it's shaky, it's unstable. If there's a threat towards a pillar of a building, that means the building itself is running the risk of being collapsing. So that's what we're trying to say here. If the children, the future, the youths of the African continent themselves are having problems surviving, growing, living free and breathing and having rights to be who they are in Africa, then Africa itself being a continent, Nigeria itself being a country, is at the risk of survival, because the future, who are the pillars, the future itself, it's having a big problem. And that's the case of the children in Africa, because so many African countries have been torn apart with wars, violence, political instability, bad governance, and all of that. It leads to the point where children themselves are being kidnapped, trafficked. The girls are turned into sex slaves. The boys are being turned into rebels. And then, so if this is the future, if this is what is happening to the African child in present, so the question is, what happens to Africa in the next 5, 10, 15 years from now? Because it's happening that those people who were our leaders then are still ruling us now, because the children, the future, are not. We're losing our rhythm.
Let me ask you this next question.
Yeah.
The issue of child soldiers and sex slaves, this is very disturbing. Yeah. But how much research went into the creation of this movie, and what have you learned about this hideous practice?
Pillars of Africa is an unusual film. Before the film was made, a proper research was done. We wrote the script for it took about 3 years to write the script, and then for 7 years we've been trying to film it. Proper research was done. We went into production 7 years after. So we did research, we took our time, we got to find out a lot of things that has to do with human trafficking and sex slavery and child soldiers. It's not just an African problem, because it's also a high level of demand. While we, the Africans, are kidnapping ourselves and trafficking ourselves, our children, out of the African shores, there's a high demand from the international community. So if you want to put an end to sex slavery, human trafficking in Africa, you must also combat it from the international market, because there's a high level of demand in prostitution abroad. There's a company who makes condom. That means sex has to sell. Do you understand me? So at the end of the day, for traffic to end in Africa, we must somehow not only deal with it at home, but also go towards the international organization, into the international communities, deal with the international trade people who are patronizing and requesting demand, because if demand is low, supply will definitely be low. So we're really going to be exposing or bringing into play a lot of...
Which brings me to my next question. Now, you have the task of recreating this in film, and you're currently on set. What has that experience been like?
It's been tough, I won't lie, I'll kid you not. It's been tough. It's very taxing. Budget-wise, it's very outrageous. Creatively, it's been draining. But we cannot drop standard. We've been doing what we need to do to achieve what we need to achieve. And when it comes to a country like Nigeria, where you have to make a film like this, then there's so many odds that's against you. And we've been taking each day as it comes. We've been on set for about 2-3 months, and we're going to be filming till January. So that's how intense or how tough making Pillars of Africa is after 7 years of trying to get it into production. So the message and the essence of making this film has to be passed. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, when the movie is finally done, cinemas are often dominated by romantic comedies, romantic dramas. Now you're bringing this film. Do you have any concerns how it will fare in the cinema?
First of all, when I'm making a film, I listen to my conscience, I listen to my heart. I don't make films, I don't go into a project thinking about how much box office I'm going to get at the end of the day. But yeah, money is very important. But the truth is, while we are busy enjoying romantic comedies, love stories, and all this stuff, we need to also deal with the fact that there are real topical issues in Africa or in Nigeria as a country that we really need to deal with. So I'm just using my own platform, my own job, to reach out and tell a story of what affects me as an African, affects an African child, affects that girl, that boy, and try to pass the message. So I believe at the end of the day, because of how deep and how sensitive the story is, of how much the recent occurrence of the Chibok girls, the Dapuchi girls, and every other girls, the boys in Somalia who are turned to rebels, the little kids in Sudan who are turned to child soldiers. My plan is to reach the international world and tell them what is happening here. So, do I want to make money? Yes, I want to make money, but that's never been the major reason of going into this production.
Onesoul, thank you so much for speaking with us. We wish you the very best. Time for a quick break now. Time for a quick break now. Entertainment News returns in a bit. Do stay with us.